Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners.
Hello again, all, and welcome. It's time again for To the Outer Limits, a special holiday edition of To the Outer Limits. John Suntress here, along with Gabe Hardman and Ian Brill. It's good to see everybody. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
And an unappetizing and an unappetizing episode with man. I hope no frogs were harmed in the production of Do Not Open Until Doomsday, the episode we're talking about tonight.
Are you referring to the disgusting creature inside the box?
Yes. Doesn't it look like they just kind of like dump some clay on a poor innocent frog?
I feel like it looks much worse than that. I mean, it's seriously one of the most grotesque things that in the entirety of this show, and this episode is a level of gothic grotesquerie that like we've not seen yet. And is also one of the reasons why I'm in love with this show. That it goes this crazy, and I feel like early on in this this little podcast we got going here, I said to John, there are episodes that I'm pretty sure John is going to be on the solid sci-fi galaxy being side of things, and I'm going to be on the weird fucking gothic. Bizarro World side of things. And I feel like we reached that spot about halfway through.
Because do you love this episode?
I do. Yeah, I do. And I think that it's fucking nuts. I think that like it is it's deliberately going for I think what it's deliberately going for is a sort of Freudian like like psychosexual sort of something, but I think that the way that it expresses it is weirder than any fucking thing you're going to get on the Twilight Zone or in any other TV show you're going to see at this point.
That's true. I'll give you that. Did you like this episode, Ian?
Like Gabe, I'm a big fan of when this show goes very gothic, and it's hard to beat this. I guess there's the episode The Guests coming up, that maybe if we're just as gothic, but this is definitely the high point. And watching this, I came up with a term, and tell me what you guys think, that Joseph Stefano with The Outer Limits invented a new genre that I'm going to call Atomic Gothic.
I think that's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Atomic, if you will.
Gothic stories where big houses, people with secrets, but with post-atomic fears and anxieties. This one is aliens, you had UFOs. In what's the episode with Ed Asner? It came out of the woodwork. Like
Yes,
I believe that's right. Yes.
well,
and also Belero Shield, which is a couple
Yes.
of episodes down the line here, which is another, Gothic house science fiction, super bizarre and atmospheric episode that is doing a somewhat similar thing. Not quite this Gothic, but still.
You're starting to convince me, guys, and I can appreciate it from that approach, what he's trying to do, because, you can't help but think when you hear Gothic, 19th century and stuff, and or a great example a few years down the line, Dark Shadows, obviously.
But I think there's a good tradition of, especially in the last, many years of like critical approaches to things being Gothic that don't even necessarily have those exact trappings to them. There's a lot of, but this this is not, this is, is it that far away from Rebecca or, a lot of other things?
That's
apart
true.
From the fact that it's got, a piece of feces in a box with a big eye, I
Once again. Oh, no, that's not it. There it is. Ah. Ah.
But Ian, let me just say, Ian, I cannot be any more pleased that you've joined us tonight, because I feel like I would have a tough road to hoe if I
totally.
honestly by myself.
No, this is good.
But continue with your thesis, Ian.
Well, yeah,
Yes.
it's just it's clear. I can see, and this isn't a criticism. I love this. I can see what influenced Joseph Stefano. Like what I was going to say about it came out of the woodwork. Like part of that story is, God, that comment. Part of that story is the scientists leading people into that space, that lab where the electronic cloud is going to eat them. Luring people into a space is very Gothic Edgar Allan Poe, but here it's a lab and it's science. And I can tell that Joseph Stefano, probably, certainly given his age and the time he grew up, probably read a lot of Poe, probably read Dickens. And I can see him coming out, he's someone who came from a pre-war environment who's now creating work in a post-war environment, and I can see the evolution in the kind of the space he lives in between.
I get it. Yeah.
And I like that. That's what fascinates me about entertainment from this era.
But I also think that he's coming at it from a point of view where he's not interested in the science of the science fiction. It's about it's about like using it as just a very loose sort of entryway into telling a kind of really crazy story and expressing ideas that I know that he was really into the Freudian analysis, and which none of us really should be anymore. It's a bunch of sort of late 19th century misogynist bullshit, but still, not all of therapy, just the particulars of Freudian psychoanalysis. But it definitely seems like that informs this. So much of what's in this episode, all of the doubling, all of the the two sets of newlyweds, the father figure from the past and the father figure in the present, like the father figure at all, and that directly, commenting on the only way that you can, really talk about sexuality in a TV show in the 60s, which is about the wedding night, So, I think that
don't open the box.
Yeah, exactly. And that there is this, this box full of horror literally in the
bridal suite.
The bridal suite. And that's just this kind of, psychosexual. Sorry, my phone has issues, but this kind of psychosexual horror stuff made manifest.
Absolutely, man. That's awesome. And I love Marion Hargrove.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Right.
And I don't think this is probably the latest of her work that I've ever seen. And because I think of her, of course, from things like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yes, I mean,
So
and also, I mean, like one of her, she really that was where she made her mark, and also in these, Lubitsch, Ernst Lubitsch directed comedies of manners, Trouble in Paradise, The Smiling Lieutenant, pre-code movies from the early 30s, I mean, but one of the ones that I would really recommend people try to see, not easily seeable until recent years, Story of Temple Drake is one of the 1933. A little later in the pre-code era, it was an adaptation of Faulkner's Sanctuary, and it's loaded with grime and gothic-y sleaze. I mean, it would be a very interesting companion piece to this. I mean, I'd watched it kind of as a companion piece to this because I'd recently gotten the Criterion Blu-ray. But it was a movie I saw the first time knowing nothing about it, at one of the kind of UCLA preservation festivals. But and it's beautifully shot. It's by Carl Struess, one of the great early cinematographers, who was also one of the great early still photographers. And it is a very sleazy type of, movie that, not as salacious as the book, which I guess was pretty notorious at the time. But it basically helped to bring about, people were outraged by it. It helped bring about like the enforcement of the Hays Code,
That's cool. Good comments right here, actually. Not just the bowel movement one. I want to go back and see some of these. Actually, it's funny. Peter's right. Good cautionary tale of gift giving for us to discuss as Black Friday kicks off. Absolutely. Didn't even think of that. That's fantastic.
Or gift receiving. I mean, unless we're out to actually trap a newlywed in a box for 30 years.
Michael says pretty impressive episode with some pretty low key effects and more of a focus on performances. I really enjoyed this one. Very good. I think,
I mean, it's certainly Miriam Hopkins gives a big performance, and it's like she's, at least according to the David J. Scow book, like supposedly she was, not, she was difficult. She wouldn't come out of her dressing room and stuff like that. I'm a little skeptical about that kind of stuff just because you often hear that about, older women actresses, and it just there, and especially from the 60s, I feel like take a grain of salt with the level of, kind of catty, judgmental, gossipy stuff that you get. But
is this pre? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to ask, is this pre whatever happened to Baby Jane?
No, that was 1962.
No, I think it's earlier. Yeah.
Oh, it was 62. Okay, sorry. Yeah. But so, obviously. But
that's probably an influence as well on this.
No question. Absolutely. Yeah. So,
Sunset Boulevard.
Yes,
certainly
absolutely.
Sunset Boulevard. Yeah. And
you're right, Ian.
There's a 100% Norma Desmond thing going on here.
I love those.
Although she's much more delusional even than Norma Desmond.
Oh, those stockings, those half stockings that she's wearing is just so sad. And God, I mean, I remember sadly women in the 70s that had issues that had stockings like that and stuff. Yeah. So it's like,
well,
wow.
I mean, one of the things that makes me wonder about the whole kind of, she was difficult because she was getting older and blah, blah, blah. This lady took this performance and committed the shit out of it, right? I mean, in an incredibly unflattering role. I mean, that's like, I mean, I think that she worked, you were saying like you hadn't seen her much later than this. Neither have I, but I think she worked until like 1970.
She died she did die in the 70s. I know that. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, like her last movie was like a shitty little horror movie, but
I
haven't seen it. Maybe it's brilliant. I don't know. I shouldn't judge.
We'll look it up while we're talking.
But, I mean, I think that it, like, the way that, this movie can be kind of unpleasant in a lot of ways. I mean, this episode can be kind of unpleasant, but it's, like, I don't know. I mean, that's part of the thing. That's part of what it's trying to do. I mean, it's deliberate. It's not like they don't understand that it's going to be kind of, rough going. And, like, how this would ever be something for kids in a way, I have no idea, I mean, like the idea of, somebody was saying early on in this, that the knock on the Outer Limits is, it's a monster show, right? like this is not a monster. I mean, this has got a monster in it, but this is not like a thing for little kids to be scared of. This is like a bizarre psychosexual morality tale of some sort, or maybe anti-morality tale. I'm not sure.
It still blows my mind that at least for the first season, this show aired at 7:30 because primetime would start that early. Like, you should be allowed to let your dinner settle before some of the things in this episode and in other episodes.
Hey, shame on me. I was calling her Miriam Hargrove. It's Miriam Hopkins, of course.
Oh, Miriam Hopkins. Yeah.
Miriam Hargrove wrote The Music Man. Miriam Hopkins is our former ingenue that became Ethel Merman, everybody.
But she was, though, like she was a Broadway person too, and she had, she didn't start in movies until like early talkies. So she didn't come out of like being a silent person. She was one of those people from the stage that was brought out to Los Angeles. So
her two last credits, the horror movie you mentioned, Hollywood Horror House, which was in 1970, 2 years before she passed away. Prior to that, she was Mother General Adelaide in The Flying Nun, everybody.
Oh, okay. Well, that's why I missed it. But she. Oh no! I also read, although I read it on Wikipedia, so maybe it's bullshit, that she turned down the Claudette Colbert role in It Happened One Night.
Wow!
So, which is, I think one of the greatest movies ever made.
Oh, it's iconic, absolutely, man.
I guess she did go through a period of some sort of difficulty and feuds with Betty Davis, and she didn't work for years in the 40s, and she was like an early pioneer in television, but that usually means that you couldn't get work anyplace else. So
lots of TV in the early days of TV,
like 1949 early days of TV.
Yes, and although in some big movies prior to that too, like I just saw it. What was it? TV wise, Lux Video Theater, Studio One, of course. Climax is a great live action show that Sidney Lumet and others were directing. Things like that. She's in The Children's Hour in 1961.
Yes, so that's pretty soon before this. I mean, I think she had kind of a career revitalization a little bit later in the 50s, early 60s.
And the other great actor in this that I love is, of course, the former Dr. Boyce from the original Star Trek pilot, The Cage, and that's, of course, John Hoyt.
Yeah.
I'm a massive John Hoyt fan, really.
Yeah, I mean, he was in literally everything. But yeah.
Attack of the Puppet People. He's the mad scientist.
He's in Brute Force. He's in The Big Combo. He's in When Worlds Collide. He's in everything.
And we'll see him again in two of the best Outer Limits episodes, I think.
Yeah, he's in Bell Shield
and iRobot.
Oh, right, iRobot.
He's he plays a DA here, but I believe he's the prosecuting attorney in iRobot.
Right. Yeah, because Howard De Silva's the defense attorney.
Robots.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And of course, as we always compare Outer Limits to Twilight Zone, he's in Will the Real Martian Please Stand Up, which is a fantastic Twilight Zone episode. There he is with his 3 arms, smoking a cigarette.
So the one of the things in this is that, like, as far as the sci-fi of it all, like, it is so like what he even is what the alien is trying to do, how the alien got in the box, how the what did this is all like the revenge of a scientist who was who was made a fool of by the father of Miriam Hopkins or the father
of Harry,
the husband.
Harry Christ Sr.
We got to show
we
got to show the one special effects moment here.
Yes. And apparently according to the David J. Scow book, there's a line that was omitted from the alien where he says, "Your universe intrudes on our void. We saw the need to uncreate it." I love how he says uncreate things. But I don't know what the fuck that is. I mean, I guess that they're supposed to come from some sort of non-existent world, or I don't know. And I have to just say there is a level of Twin Peaks: The Return about this as well. I mean, capturing an interdimensional alien in a box, and all of that. There's a lot of that. I feel like, and combining that with with this kind of the sort of walking the line between science fiction and horror fantasy.
It also felt kind of whenever you're talking about beings from another universe, there's something I always feel Lovecraftian, and that bridges the gothic horror aspect. I'm sure Stefano read Lovecraft or someone.
I imagine so. Although he always portrays himself as not really being like a big, certainly not a science fiction fan. But I would imagine. I mean, certainly he read Poe, and certainly probably Lovecraft. I'm never all that clear on how well known Lovecraft was, up until or when people really got into Lovecraft beyond people who were nerds, who had read the poems. But look, if I cannot annihilate the world, I must uncreate myself. I don't honestly. What else do you need to know?
That is so great. I want that as like an album title or something.
It is just, there is something that it's just, I don't know. I mean, I just don't feel like there's any place where you get something that abstract and crazy. And there are things where, I mean, there's another deleted line about, where, the 1929 husband who's stuck in the box says the man who found the alien tried to warn us, and my father branded him a madman. If spitefulness is madness, then he was mad. He brought this horror here as a wedding gift. Like that and the other line from the alien, they deliberately cut those out. They didn't want us to know that much about it. They thought, I think we're tipping our hand a little bit too much here, and it's undermining the absolutely impenetrable abstraction that we're putting on Tuesday at 7:30 or Monday, I can't remember.
Mom, this sucks. Change the channel.
Yeah, except for those kids who loved it, and then they grew up to be, fucking weirdos, which is, good.
Probably David Lynch and
yeah, probably
Stephen King.
Probably.
Oh, that's awesome. Like I said, I don't have much to say about this episode because I'm like, it was a little fun. It was a little crazy. Again, Miriam Hopkins was worth the price of the ticket to come in because she was fun to watch. But yeah, just singing her songs and just stuck in the 20s as she was and waiting for her chance to be with her man again.
John, you need things to be made literal, and I need things to be abstract and difficult. And see, I'm just so much more sophisticated than you. That's all I'm trying to say here.
Well, you're in a suit and I'm in a sweatshirt.
Well, there you
so
go.
Clearly, this is our Felix Oscar dynamic.
Of course,
right there. Yeah. Absolutely. We should. That's our next podcast, The Odd Couple.
Yeah, I just like it because it's weird. I mean, I like it because it's deliberately weird and audacious. Like the audaciousness of it, it feels like something above and beyond what you would get otherwise.
Oh, 100%. No, absolutely, man. And I really do appreciate that for early 1960s television being as weird as it is. And I mean, that's kind of cool. I mean, we got a lot of that in the golden age, in the really early days. But this is kind of the hangover period of that golden age when they moved everything to California and they stopped doing live TV. And Studio One continued as a recorded anthology rather than a live anthology. So I do appreciate that kind of every now and then these kind of weird stories.
Yeah,
so,
although I don't think that we got stuff that weird in the world of of that kind of golden age, play, like TV
you're right about
plays,
live.
You're
right about live, but look at Wells and what he did with those shorts. I don't know if they aired or not. The ones that he wanted to do, with Joy Lansing, like Man with a Camera. I forget what they were called, but essentially, so I mean, there was at least producers were thinking like that.
Yeah, and I mean that's that's a particular thing too. But I mean, just the kind of the phantasmagoria of this, I think,
Oh,
is
totally.
something that is unique to. Yeah, I just don't know that you'd seen something like that on TV
I
before.
completely agree with that. Absolutely. But again, it does, as weird as it is, it does lean into the bare episodes of Outer Limits where, okay, weird monster and stuff. I mean, they like you said, it was more of a MacGuffin for what they were really saying.
Yeah,
But
I mean, the Weird Monster is very much an entree to like try to say these kind of bigger things in it,
sure.
or at least, but and I mean, in this instance, I mean, there are other episodes where I really feel like they were trying to say those big things and not succeeding, and I feel like this is something where they're saying things that are a little abstract and a little ephemeral in a way that that is more effective for being less explicit. I don't think that they didn't hit the mark. I think that they are like, I mean, there are aspects of the ending that are maybe a little too obtuse, but okay, but like but I do think that it's not this. I do think this is an episode that is successful at doing what it's trying to do.
Okay.
Okay, sure, Gabe.
No, Gabe. I seriously, thank God both of you are truly have these opinions of the show. Otherwise, it would have been me going, yeah, sucked. Next.
No, I know, but I mean, like this is why I'm was willing to do this thing, because it goes interesting places. I mean,
Totally.
I think that I mean, I think that it would be, I mean, it's not like you couldn't do an interesting, podcast about, the Twilight Zone or whatever else. I mean, those are good shows, but like, I think that the weird ambition of this is the reason that it's interesting to do a podcast about it.
It's the bald-headed stepsister to Twilight Zone in terms of being horror sci-fi genre of the early 60s, and does get overlooked compared to the Twilight Zone. And that's why, and again, these only 49 episodes compared to 250 or however many it was on Twilight Zone. And again, I think, this is...
Well, but the Twilight Zone is a lot more conventional and a lot more accessible. I mean, it just is. I mean, and more like, for an anthology show, it's more like uniform. It's there. It's like you get. I mean, to a degree, you get what you expect out of a Twilight Zone without as much wild stylistic shifts and trying. I mean, they're going in very different directions often on the Outer Limits. So I think probably makes it less accessible to people, and also, I'm sure a good portion of people, like your John Suntresses, are just put off by episodes like this.
Just this specific one.
This is the one where you somebody's watching and and they're like, all right, I've given this a shot, but what the fuck was that? I just want to live my normal 1963 life, or early 1964 life, and not be troubled by things like this.
You're killing
at 7:30.
The president's just been killed, and now this?
Yeah, exactly. JFK died for this shit?
It hardly
tragedy plus time. Indeed. Right there. Ironic, because again, it happened at this time of year as well. Oh my God, you're killing me.
Thanksgiving gets mentioned in this episode. Stephen, what's his name, broke the guy's nose in 2 places.
That's right. On Thanksgiving, which I think may also just be a weird Freudian sexual innuendo thing, but whatever.
Anything else?
Well, I mean, we could talk about a couple of the other actors that were in it.
Sure.
Russell Collins was in it. He's in Bad Day at Black Rock, which is one of my favorite movies.
I love that movie. I didn't remember him in being in Bad Day at Black Rock. Go on.
He's the more sympathetic guy in town,
Okay.
And I can't remember his name or exactly his title or whatever. But I did just get from Heritage a Bad Day at Black Rock one sheet that is at the Framers right now. So hopefully I'll have that on my wall soon.
Another cast member, Buck Taylor, is that right? Yes. Currently active in the Paramount Network's hit show, The Kevin Costner show, Tombstone, or is it
Yellowstone?
Right?
Yeah,
Yellowstone, thank
Yellowstone.
you.
Yeah. I have not seen that show, but yeah, apparently he's still working. I guess fell into that niche of I guess
the Ben Johnson kind of thing. Yeah,
he looked too much like Dana Gould back then, and so he decided to become a Western guy. The guy in the what do you call it? The husband who's in the box, the 1929 guy. He was on a Star Trek. He's in the third season.
Right.
Is there in truth no beauty? The one with where
Diana Muldaur is
the
blind woman
looking. Yeah.
Also involving an alien in a box.
That is true. But it's the third season of Star Trek, so it is not ambitious and trying important.
There's a handful of good episodes in the third season. Literally a handful.
There are, but it's a sliding scale.
Oh my God, yeah. Isn't it weird? Fred Freiberg successful with Wild Wild West, unsuccessful in everything else. Because he was
I'm just gonna be completely honest with you. I've never actually watched an entire episode of
Wild Wild West is good. I've got the second season DVD when it first goes to color.
Well, I even liked that first season.
It is
the serious version of 60s Batman.
Yeah.
And it's steampunk. It's steampunk James Bond.
Right.
Which is fun.
I have personal tragedy reasons to not want to revisit Wild Wild West.
Okay.
I worked on the Wild Wild West movie, and so
that I can appreciate.
I feel like it was early in my career. I got a large bump in my salary to work on that movie, but which I negotiated myself and then got rid of my agent. But anyway,
did you have any John Peters stories?
I've worked, yes, but I've actually worked with John Peters more than once.
Okay,
and yeah.
Moving on.
The Wild Wild West story was that he was just very obnoxious about his. It's not a good story. It was something about sort of contrasting the awful apartment I lived in that was where the roof leaked and everything got ruined that week when I had to have a meeting with him and he was complaining to me about his mansion and whatever. When I was in a meeting with him, Barry Sonnenfeld, but later on I had dealings with him on Superman Returns, which were even stupider, much stupider.
How come you're not in that? Superman Returns. Pardon me. I was thinking the Nicolas Cage.
I did not work on that one. That was actually being prepped at the exact same time as Wild Wild West. I went over there and saw the stuff in the art department and everything. But but all this stuff was really. This was literally like the second year of my storyboard career. It was obvious the movie wasn't good, but I wasn't. Whatever. There was a whole thing though where. The important Outer Limits story here.
Please.
No, it's not. There was a guy who, and maybe I've told this before, I don't know, but there was a guy who was so obsessed with Robert Conrad, Robert Conrad. Yeah.
It is Robert Conrad. Jim West.
And who was convinced that he felt like he looked like Robert Conrad. He felt like he was. Was Jim West? Is that the character's name?
Yeah, James West.
So he would send these he sent a giant poster of himself to the production office that they put up on the wall to make fun of him. He would send these sort of harassing letters because he felt like, and he was big racist. So he felt like Will Smith could not be playing this character.
Wow.
He was James West. He was the natural successor to this, and that he had to be cast in this movie, right?
Did he look at all like Robert Conrad?
Yeah, sure, but unless you're writing for Wizard magazine, that is not an important criteria for casting a movie, right? If your Wizard magazine, casting Rowdy Roddy Piper as every character is not really the way things work in Hollywood.
You're killing me. That's fantastic. Outstanding, man. And don't get me wrong, Robert Conrad, weird dude, and just died actually last year.
Yeah.
And I was listening. He had a radio show that they would turn into a podcast, and he would play 50s and 60s, like middle of the road, beautiful music, like Perry Como and Jimmy Darren ballads and stuff like that. Yeah. And then take fan calls. Oh, Robert, I loved you in Hawaii and I. Oh, thank you, darling. Yeah. And then he would interview contemporaries of his from the 60s, like Barbara Bain was on an episode, and they swapped stories, Mission Impossible and Wild Wild West. It was very interesting. So, yeah, it was a weird show.
So it was a radio show. What out of where? Do you know?
I know it was the West Coast. He had he had a Roger Radio kind of co-host that would, I guess, take care of the technical side of it and all, and they just would throw to Bob, and he would take calls and or talk to his guests. I don't know if the podcast feed is still up or not, but it was last year, and it was certainly worth cherry picking the episodes where he has celebrities on and stuff and hearing those things. But yeah, weird sponsors. Just I don't even know how strong of a radio station it was. It was a little dinky station that they lucked out, and also he had a vehicular. I want to say manslaughter, right?
No, he killed a guy. He was driving drunk, and after that, he kind of just went off the radar.
Yeah. I do know he was doing celebrity shows where he would do autographs and stuff like that. We have officially transitioned into the Robert Conrad podcast. Welcome, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel qualified, but I'm here nonetheless. I can't even think. I mean, what else was Robert? I mean, here on the Robert Conrad podcast.
Certainly, Pappy Boynton.
Yes, right. Yeah. That's
and if I may,
Columbo?
Yes, great Columbo episode.
Yeah, that's true.
Where he was like a Jack LaLanne kind of character, a fitness guy. But he has a terrible show from post Black Sheep Squadron. It was called A Man Called Sloan, and it was totally his attempt to do a modern spy James Bond thing. There's an episode on YouTube, I believe it's still there. Morgan Fairchild, my girlfriend, is the guest star on the show. And you got to see it because his co-star spy is this black gentleman who's got a weird prosthetic hand that has a million gadgets in it.
Okay.
And it's insane. It's so bad. And it's a great cheeseball Universal television from 1980. A Man Called Sloan, everybody.
Okay. Well,
shows don't start with A Man Called anymore. They used to happen all the time.
That's true.
A Man Called Hop.
Oh well, yeah, Jack, you're right. He had
that's true.
Hawaiian Eye.
Okay.
That was the show. Yeah. Him and oh god, I can't remember his name. The guy's. It's so funny. I literally just saw his Dick Van Dyke episode.
Edward Everett Horton.
Yes. Once upon a time, there were three little bears. I'm very proud of my Edward Everett Horton imitation. No kidding.
We all are. Yeah.
Don Rickles.
That was an ugly duckling that hated everybody. Anyway.
Okay, so we're done with the episode then.
We can be done. I'm very excited about next week because that's meat and potatoes.
Next week's a good one.
Yeah, I feel like we're in a more John Suntressy area next week.
This is not my show. This is Gabe's show, and I am the caddy.
Wait, what? Excuse me? I'm pretty sure that this is not the Gabe Hardman Network over here.
It's definitely the John Suntress Network, but this is the Gabe Hardman show on the John Suntress Network.
Okay, fair enough.
So, I'm trying to see if there's anybody else worth discussing as far as cast.
I've heard that it's Thanksgiving.
We can wrap.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm not sure why anybody would be tuning in because they probably are all in their turkey comas. I
am pleased to say that people are really enjoying The Outer Limits, and we are, and especially given how this went on with no fanfare, we do have hundreds of viewers.
So you're just saying I don't promote it enough? Is that what you're getting?
You promote it. What are you talking about? I'm the guy that totally forgot until 15 minutes before the episode. Go, no shit, we're on the air. Yeah, maybe I should promote.
I forgot. I should.
But no. But no, that's the great thing is, we've got a handful watching live, but also it is on Periscope as well as YouTube and Facebook, and collectively, as I always tell people, That's so funny. Now, Jack wants me to do Hans Conried. Hello, Dudley. But Isham asks, is the giant spider thing true about John Peters? I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah. Everybody knows that one. But like I feel like, you know what would be the ultimate John Suntra show? It would be on the Word Balloon Network, if that's what this is. I think that it would be a show where you pick a character actor and then you watch them in each guest appearance they're in throughout their career, right? Fuck watching an entire series, right? You just watch, John Hoyt was in Slattery's People? We're watching that. And then you just watch you watch each episode that John Hoyt is in of every series he's in throughout his career. I think you should think about it.
Well, obviously, you saw my love last week for Richard Carlson, the fine character actor, who, as I said, is like Phil Hartman. It was a dead ringer for Richard Carlson. Sadly, both dead.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. We will never get the Richard Carlson story starring Phil Hartman.
Phil Hartman, it could have happened. It's so funny. I literally talked to Alex Ross last Friday, and he was talking about how un-Hollywood it is that he will obviously, when he paints certain characters, he thinks of actors kind of in reverse, and just talking about how his Tony Stark is Timothy Dalton, and God actually recently in his new Marvels, he was talking about how Pierce Brosnan is now his Doctor Strange, which is the last guy I would think of as Doctor Strange. But it's like, actually, if you think about it, it's like, oh yeah, I could see that. So
that seems like reasonable casting to me. I don't know why he would be the last guy. I mean, the last guy I would think of.
Well, maybe not the last guy, literally.
Wally Cox.
I was going to say Jack Club.
Edward Everett Horton.
Yeah. Yes, by the Eye of Agamotto. Yes. Hello, Claire.
Hans Conried.
I love Hans Conried. Never enough Hans Conried.
The Hans Conried podcast. I mean, that couldn't be more perfect. You got your Gilligan's Island episode. You got,
You can do radio as well as TV and film.
Don't go crazy, John.
Come on.
Just stick to...
Come on.
You can call it Hans Conried.
Hey, it's my Hans Conried podcast. I'll do it right goddamn.
Look, I'm just telling you, there's a lot of pent up demand for the Hans Conried retrospective podcast.
I swear to God, for me and the other three people that know what we're talking about beyond this group, because I bet even Ian's like, I
don't know what the fuck I'm saying.
But
get Ian a picture of Hans Conried, and he'll know who he is.
Fair enough. I will find one. That's a good thing. But I was going to say, Gilbert Gottfried's podcast. This is what he does. I mean, and it cracks me up every week. In fact, they had a 2-hour show celebrating Abbott and Costello. And I know people know Abbott and Costello, but still, not exactly, top of the list for the kids and what they love.
No kid has ever listened to the Gilbert Gottfried podcast.
That's what I'm saying.
It just, come on. I am the youngest person to ever listen to the Gilbert Gottfried
You're 100% right.
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to love this. Here's a whole bevy of Hans Conried pictures. Boom. So that's old Hans Conried, obviously. And then you got...
Scroll down to just that one below. Like that, the closer one. Hans Conried.
That's young Hans Conried.
What was he in? What are some of his...
Have you ever seen Gilligan's Island?
I've probably seen every Gilligan's Island when I was
one
a kid.
episode.
I could not remember a one.
He plays Wrong Way something or another.
That's right, Wrong Way Corrigan. That's right.
He's a pilot who gets lost and ends up on the island.
Like a Lindbergh, Lindbergh sort of character, yeah. Well, the third picture that you see in the top row there, Uncle Tanous, is a character he played on Danny Thomas. He played his Lebanese uncle. So that was a big deal. But really, white-haired Hans Conried is kind of your classic era Hans, where he would be kind of an aristocrat. He's in a Kolchak. He's in a Night Stalker episode as a museum expert. And God, it just had a great role that he had. He's in a Jerry Lewis movie. I want to say The Patsy from the 60s.
Okay.
But the guys who made Rocky and Bullwinkle had a great
Jay
live
Ward.
action. Yes, Jay Ward had a great live action show called Fractured Flickers that Showtime showed for a while in the 90s. And it was a show where they would take silent films and put a soundtrack on them, and all the great character voices, Paul Frees and Bill Scott, and like you'd hear Dudley Do Right, that voice coming out of John Barrymore or somebody like that. And they would just take these like great old movies and he, silent movies, and he was the host of that show. And then they'd have like a guest star segment. It's such I've been looking for it on DVD forever because they put it out and it's out of print. It's
I've never even heard of that.
Only lasted a season. I don't think it even lasted a full season. Fractured Flickers, I swear to God, great show. I see even Jack knows about it. And again, Uncle Tanusa and Danny Thomas, yes indeed. Percy Helton, all these great characters that he's played over the years.
Yeah, Percy Helton. Yeah, he's actually, I would do the Percy Helton podcast. He's in a lot of my favorite movies. Weasley little guy,
or John MacGyver.
Yeah, there's John MacGyver. Look, I think that's Gilbert Gottfried territory. I don't think you can do John MacGyver.
I just saw his Dick Van Dyke where he played a children's book publisher, and he tells his secretary, "I don't want to be disturbed unless the only person I'll take a call from is Walt Disney."
Is that the one where Laura Petrie accidentally steals the children's book idea?
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
You got it. Very nice.
All right. Okay, we're done.
Indeed. Yeah. That'd be a good almost 15 minutes of tangents. Yes, indeed.
I very much appreciate you coming on here, Ian, and backing me up on this one. You're now obliged to come on every time there's a sort of gothic-y weird one that's going to put John off.
It'll be my pleasure.
Thank you.
We'll see as we continue, because again, a lot of these I don't remember seeing before, and I would say this is one of those ones that I'm like, I don't remember seeing this one. I probably was turned off by it as 12-year-old John
just
Sutras.
Blocked it out. You saw scary old Miriam Hopkins. It freaked young John Sutras out, and
Yeah, but I remember the hot queen bee that we'll be seeing next weekend.
Very different scenario. That actress is still around, right? I really should have tried to figure out how to get her as a guest on the damn show.
Oh my God!
At some point, we got to have a guest on the show, an actual Outer Limits guest.
Oh, that would be incredible.
I don't know fucking how, because most everybody's dead.
I'm looking her up real fast. Joanna Frank.
Yeah.
There's some deal with her. She's related to somebody.
Stephen Boschko.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, no kid. Well, that makes sense because she's
L.A. Law.
Yes.
She played her real life husband's wife on L.A. Law.
Okay. Yeah, I see that.
Oh, the
19 episodes.
The 5,000 Fingers of Dr. T.
Hans Conried.
Hans Conried, yeah.
Wait,
that's true. He was the piano teacher.
Very different.
I enjoyed as a young boy.
Now there's a surreal movie that I absolutely love.
I thought.
Yeah,
yes.
it's for children. It's handing it to you on a plate. It's of course that's the easy road into weirdness.
Is that the one that was a Dr. Seuss story?
Yeah,
Dr.
Seuss.
Live action Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, he co-wrote the movie, I think.
Yeah.
He was very involved in it.
They showed it on Svengoolie. And I brought it up to him when I interviewed him live at C2E2. And he's like, biggest mistake we ever made putting that movie on. I'm like, why? It's so perfect for your show. He goes, we all thought so too. That is the single film we got the most hate mail for. Of like, what the hell is this? Give us a Universal Frankenstein movie and we'll all shut up, You
see, this is everything I don't like about fandom and the whole culture of all this stuff, right?
Who writes
the boxes? Yeah, what the fuck?
Dear Svengoolie, I usually enjoy your quality programs, but
it's like when Homer used to, dear Die Hard, you rock. He's writing the movie.
Perhaps if it was 3,000 fingers, I'd be fine. But in this economy, 5,000? Too much. At least
Maybe.
for my blood.
I mean, are you sure that that's the movie and that they didn't show Robert Altman's the Dr. T and the Women?
No.
Oh, you would, yeah.
But very nice. And it wasn't
90s.
And it wasn't the 60s Seven Faces of Dr. Lau, the Tony Randall, Barbara Eden vehicle that is on tomorrow night on Turner Classic Movies, because I believe they're doing on Friday nights circus themed films.
Okay.
All right. Well, okay. So for the third time, we're done.
We're done. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Please be safe on Black Friday. Please don't tear a $20 VCR out or a DVD player out of somebody's hands. DVD player for that matter. What am I saying? So, all right, we're done. We're gonna throw your control back. Michael wishes us all a happy Thanksgiving.
He's Canadian. He had his Thanksgiving last month.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's old news for him.
Yeah.
This is all true. All right. Join us next time when we travel once again to the outer limits. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye-bye.
I waved outside the frame. That was the most unprofessional thing I've ever done in my life.